So thank you everyone for attending. Today's workshop, we'll be discussing how to self-source an HDR internship. So my name's Simon Kolonowski and I'm joined online by my awesome colleague, Susan Schlinker, and the guest speaker, Kristen Thompson, who's going to share her first-hand experience of her HDR internship. Just some housekeeping. I'm just letting you know that this session will be recorded. So if you wouldn't mind just leaving your camera and mics off just to help with the bandwidth space. And feel free to use a chat tool to ask any questions. My colleague Susan will be more than happy to assist, and I'll be able to answer any questions after the session. Just so that you know, if you're not well versed with Zoom already, I'm sure that you probably are, but you can ask a question directly to someone or to everyone in the chat just by using the to functionality within the chat box itself. Before we start, I just wanted to acknowledge the traditional owners. So QUT acknowledges the Turrbal and Yagara as the First Nations owners of the lands where QUT now stands. We pay respects to their elders, laws, customs, and creation spirits. We recognise that these lands have always been places of teaching, research, and learning. QUT acknowledges the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people play within the QUT community. For those of you joining us online or watching this recording back who aren't from this location, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners where you reside. Within today's session, we'll talk about what actually a HDR internship is, because I don't want to assume that you already know. We'll also cover the benefits of completing an HDR internship. Like I mentioned, we will hear from Kristen Thompson, who's completed a HDR internship and get her first-hand experience of the process and what was involved and the outcomes that she's seen. I'll also give you a guide on how to self-source an internship and give you some skills to approach this delicately so you don't ruin any potential relationships that you have with an industry partner. I'll provide you with preparation tips for forming the relationship and pitching an internship to them. I'll also provide you with some training, resources and support that's available to you as a HDR student. And then we'll open the floor to you with, to ask any questions that you might have. Before we actually go into the content of today's session, I just wanted to give you this little question just so that you have this in mind whilst we're going through the content. So just start with the end in mind. What would you like to get out of today's session? So myself and my colleague Susan, we're situated in a team known as Graduate Research Education and Development, or GRED for short. So we are a team that provides optional learning to assist you post your candidature. So the team will provide the optional learning and development opportunities for you as HDR students to help you complete your thesis and equip you for life after your degree. Within the GRED team, my colleague Susan and I look after the HDR industry engagement program, including HDR internships. So in this circle on the screen right now, we look after the green portion of this. The GRED team in its entirety looks after the HDR career support, modules and workshops. We look after HDR opportunities, HDR orientation, industry engagement and internship, HDR writing support and workshops, professional development requirements for HDR supervision, and also research development and skill modules, programs and workshops for HDR students. The GRED team have also constructed the HDR skills assessment tool, which I believe that Susan's put in the chat for you guys to access. And this tool is a great resource as it personalizes your research journey by capturing your level of experience and identifying areas of improvement. And it also provides you with recommendations relevant to training and development opportunities to build your skills. It also allows you to track your progress and record experiences to share with your supervisors and future employers. We recommend you use the tool regularly throughout your candidature to find new development opportunities and to track your development. Before we start, just a quick little exercise. This dot on the screen, can you add into the chat what you think this is? I'll give you a few moments just to add your comments. It's very ambiguous, so please add whatever you think this dot might represent. Please don't be shy. Us? A dot? I mean, very true. Starting point. Do we have any other guesses? I mean, they're very great guesses. So this dot is to represent you and your PhD. And we see that students often have a foveal or a tunnel vision view towards their PhD, where it's all that they focus on for the duration of their degree. What our being myself and Susan, what our goal is to let you see the wider landscape of research applications that you can apply your research to. So we as the HDR partnerships team are here to do basically broaden your field of vision from the foveal view to an expansive view so that you can see the wider landscape of how your research skills are transferable and applicable beyond the completion of your PhD itself. So in terms of what we offer, we've got mentoring opportunities, we've got the opportunities to expand your network, the HDR internship, which we're going to talk about today, industry engagement and all its kind of applications that are available. We want you to identify some transferable skills. We have design sprints, we have research communication skill development, and we also have the 3MT and the VYT competitions for you to compete in. So this is just a quick synopsis. So just to allow you to see that there's more beyond your PhD. Just before we get into the nitty-gritty of the internship, I just have a video here from one of our students, Juliana, who's completed an internship experience, and I think you'll really like it. Bear with me, I'll just mute myself.
My name is Juliana Chaves. I am from Brazil. I came to Australia just to learn English, but then I decided to do my PhD here. I am graduated in biomedical science back in Brazil. I did my honors in neuroscience, and now I'm doing my PhD project in Alzheimer's disease, where we are trying to develop a better model to study Alzheimer's disease and increase the drug delivery into the brain. My internship is in biotech industry. So my project is based on how to minimize the use of animal in research, where we are trying to develop hydrogels to make 3D models. We can use these in brain or bone or any other tissues that we would like to develop. I started to optimize in one of the hydrogels that they are trying to commercialize. But then after a while, they decided that they had enough confidence on myself to actually work in something that they could help them more in the industry field in terms of quality control and research and development for one machine that they are trying to commercialize. I'm developing skills that I never had. Feels like I'm working, not just doing an internship. Like they trust me, they give me like freedom to learn and develop my skills. All PhD students should use that time to try to develop their network, experience, and then why not do that as an internship? My name is Juliana Chaves.
So I hope you enjoyed the video from Juliana. As you can see, she really enjoyed her experience undertaking the internship. We'll get Kristen to talk later to give her overview, but most of our HDRs that undertake the internship, if not all, get a lot out of the internship experience, including those networks and those professional skills. So it's a really worthwhile experience. So I'm glad that you're here today to learn more about how to self-source. So you might be thinking, what is industry? Industry is a term that we use a lot with the industry engagement catchphrase. So I just want to explain this to help you understand. So industry is a catch-all term which refers to any potential end user of research, which includes business, governments, government business enterprises, non-government organizations, NFP groups, and community organizations. But just so you know, it's not limited to those that I've mentioned. Engaging with industry involves working with those groups directly through internships, mentorships, network events, and other activities offered by GRED. Throughout this session, I'd like you to think of an industry type that you're hoping to gain experience in during your degree. This will help you relate to the content within this workshop better and will assist you engaging with industry into the future. So you might be thinking, why a HDR internship? I'm going to give you some information now and a few statistics a bit later in the next slide, just to help you understand why it's so important. Industry engagement during your degree will help you to expand your future career prospects post your studies, and it includes developing your research articulation skills, industry experience and skills, your research impact metrics, your practical application of your skills in the real world, evidence of your skills in the real world for your CV, and it gives you an opportunity to build your connections. So like it was explained in Juliana's video, she really valued the networking opportunity that she had while she undertook her internship. Not only these things, but the industry engagement during your degree will help expand your potential career options for after graduation. And there's actually a really good example that Kristen can share with you during her discussion. So what sectors could you use your research skills to work in after graduation? This is an important question. I'd like you to think of some that might come to mind. So beyond the professional expectations of academics to engage with industry, the other reason to consider industry engagement now is that most HDR graduates have careers within industry. Less than 50% of PhD graduates have careers in academia, and this includes sessionals, and approximately 3% of HDR graduates in some disciplines will get to the professorial level. Please know I'm not saying this to scare you or to deter you from going into academia. However, unfortunately, after COVID and due to university restructures, we certainly appreciate that this is becoming increasingly more difficult. But with the increasing focus on innovation and development in industry, your advanced skills are needed in industry. So many of these reports talk about the needs of the future workforce and the skill shortage around transferable skills. These are things HDR students have in abundance, and I'm sure you can, talk about yourself and the transferable skills that you would bring, but they're absolutely needed within industry. We encourage you to see yourself as a well-rounded researcher as a result of your degree. So this quote on the slide from a Kohler report is from 2016. I know it's a bit dated. I'll give you some more updated information in the next slide. It shows that you should be open-minded about your future career rather than seeing your thesis as the end result of your research. I understand that this is old, like I've mentioned. However, this report is still top tier and holds strong merit, which is why it continues to be used to this day. So undertaking industry engagement activities now will set you up for future career success, whether you go on to gain employment in academia or industry after your graduation. It just allows you to see more and what's kind of on the horizon potentially for you. So as I mentioned, this is a bit more of a newer synopsis to give you some further information as to why it's really important to engage with industry, to keep your options open after you finish your candidature. So figure 1 on the screen reveals the impact of the pandemic and the recovery on advertisements for academic positions within the higher education sector. You can see that in 2019, there was a monthly average of 1,000 academic jobs advertised. And by December 2021, post-pandemic, this number had reduced to 800 positions per month. Whereas figure 2 shows a monthly average of 15,000 non-academic job advertisements in 2019. And after the peaks and troughs of the pandemic, this average remains the same at the end of 2021. Setting aside the differences of monthly averages, these two graphs also demonstrate that a much greater demand for non-academic research jobs exists. And so we highly encourage you to broaden your field of vision to consider positions both in academic and in industry post-graduation. We want you to use your time as a student to increase your industry engagement skills, which will assist you to prepare for both avenues of potential future career pathways down the track, which is why we really, really encourage you to engage with industry through any avenue that we offer or other alternative methods that you can think of, because it's really valuable. So here I'll just explain what a HDR internship is in case you're not already well versed. So a HDR internship, firstly and foremost, is quite broad. The definition of a HDR internship is broad because the projects vary significantly. Typically speaking, it's a short-term, clearly defined project with and/or for industry, and the project agreement itself must be approved by GRED. The project will exist between yourself, being the HDR student, an academic mentor, which does not necessarily need to be your own supervisor, just someone that has subject matter expert within the relevant project scope that's been put together, and as well as the industry. The internship needs to be separate from your thesis research, but ideal if the internship is relevant to your research. The one thing to note with an internship is that the industry will own the project IP that's delivered throughout the life cycle of the internship. So please don't worry, any background IP that you already have remains your own property. It's just everything that's come about through the life cycle of the internship is known as a project IP, and that's assigned to the industry partner. The internship can be a standalone project with an industry partner, or a project that is part of a larger grant or research collaboration, and is typically 3 to 6 months in duration. So it can vary. However, we won't have an internship for less than 3 months and typically not for longer than 6 months. If you undertake an internship during your candidature will be paused. Your milestones will be moved back by the duration of the internship, which you'll be enrolled into a unit known as IFN 004, which is called the HDR Internship unit. This subsequently means your scholarship will be paused, but the industry, we actually ask them for funding so that you still receive a fortnightly stipend to help with your routine living expenses, because we understand that it's really difficult to kind of, go about your normal day-to-day life without any income coming in. So this is why it's really important that we receive this funding from the industry partner to make this possible for you. So on the screen, there's some eligibility criteria for undertaking an internship. So for IFN 49, which is all your PhD students, you must have completed stage 2 plus 6 months study of your full-time equivalent within your degree. For IF 80 and KK 59, you must have completed your research project proposal plus 6 months of your full-time equivalent within your degree. And lastly, for ED 11, you must have completed the work in progress doc plus 6 months of the full-time equivalent with your degree. So now I'd like to introduce Kristen, who has completed an internship with the Office of the Queensland Chief Scientist. And I'll stop sharing quickly just so that you can focus on Kristen. And thank you so much, Kristen. I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Guy. I'll just wait. Alrighty. So yeah, as Guy has mentioned, I am a very, very fresh internship graduate. So I just finished my internship last Thursday. So yeah, I guess I'll just go through kind of, how I got into the internship, a little bit about what I did during the internship, and then, yeah, right at the end. So I'm a PhD candidate. I'm an ecologist. I'm right at the end of finishing my PhD. I'm writing up my thesis at the moment. So I applied for my HDR internship in December, end of November last year, something like that. The application process was very, very straightforward. I found it was very easy. There are a lot of resources online that were able to help you with that application process. The interview afterwards as well was just similar to a normal job interview that you would do. It was super professional. So it gave me a lot of good experience, I guess, for job interviews in the future as well. I just treated it like a normal job interview. So yeah, so the whole application and the interview process, it is also very, very friendly, and it's not something to be scared of or anything like that. And of course, Ski and Susan and everyone are there to help you as well. So if you have any questions, then you can definitely ask them about the application process. So yeah, so that happened. I started my internship in, I think, February this year. So my internship was a 20-week internship, so it went for 5 months. So yeah, that pushed my PhD milestones back, as Ski had mentioned, and I also received that scholarship, the stipend for the duration of my my internship as well. So one of the things that I didn't realize until I'd kind of been brought on board was that you do actually get a mentor. So Ski had mentioned as well that you do get a mentor for the duration of the internship. I actually received 2 mentors for mine. So yeah, usually it is just one. So my mentors were both in science communication. So my background is ecology, and I think one of the reasons why I did want to apply for this internship was it was in science communication, which is something I have got a little bit of experience in, but I really wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone, especially working in government. So it was with the Office of the Queensland Chief Scientist. I thought it would be a really great opportunity to do that. So I had my 2 mentors in science communication as well that were there to support me throughout the process. We had a meeting at the beginning where I kind of talked through what I wanted to get out of the internship. And there are pre-internship activities that you will do beforehand as well. So I actually found these really, really helpful. Maybe, definitely at the beginning, but more towards the end. So if you do spend the time to work on your pre-internship activities, please do, because they are really, really useful. So you set goals on what you want to get out of your internship, and just what you want to work on as well. So one of the big things that I wanted to work on was my science communication skills, and particularly in government, having a completely different communication style as opposed to in research or academia. So I went through and made my goals, went through them with my mentors, and just made sure that we were all on the, my goals were achievable as well, that I was able to achieve them in those 20 weeks. So yeah, so that was kind of setting it up. I guess one thing to note as well, I didn't self-source my internship, but it is, you know, my internship experience is still what you will go through as well. So yeah, just something to note. So as I mentioned, I did my internship with the Office of the Queensland Chief Scientist. I had a little bit of background in government before, but it was more research related. So I went into it thinking, okay, I've got a little bit of experience. This will be great. And I guess be prepared that you will go into it and not know everything. Like it is a very short internship. So I went straight into the deep end, and you kind of all hands on deck. So as I said, it is a very short internship. The project, I was working on a certain project to deliver an event. So we had a very specific time frame. We had goals that we had to work on. And it took, you know, be prepared as well. It took me about half of my internship to actually get settled in and know the processes and everything. So that can be a little bit jarring, I suppose, when you go straight into it and you're like, oh, I just feel so out of my depth. I just don't have any skills or anything like that, but work through it. Yeah, you know, it's starting any sort of job. And I've had many jobs throughout my PhD and everything, but yeah, this was because it is so short, because you only have that specific time frame. So yeah, just to be prepared that you may feel a bit out of your depth, but again, like the people in my team at the Office of the Queensland Chief Scientist, Ski, and my mentors are all there to support you as well. So if you're feeling a bit uneasy or you're not sure about, oh, I just don't think I have the skills, or I'm just not sure about this, then everyone's there to help you. So yeah, you can always talk to them, and you know, everyone wants the best out of your internship as well, so they don't want to feel like you're not getting the most out of it. So yeah, just be prepared that it may take a little bit to settle in, as with any job. So that's what I found, particularly coming into government when I haven't had so much of that experience. So you do treat it like a full-time job as well. It is full-time hours. So it is a very good experience, I guess, particularly coming from a PhD or research perspective, where your hours can be all over the place, or if you're trying to meet a deadline or something for a chapter, you're up until all hours of the night. So try and treat it as much of a full-time job, set a schedule for yourself throughout the week. And that really helps as well. So you know what could set you up for afterwards. So yes, as I mentioned, it was a really big learning experience for me. One of the things throughout the internship that you will be doing is reflections every week. So I would write my reflections every week, and you send them to your mentors. It may feel like, oh, I have to write a reflection this week. Like, I just finished the whole week and I'm so tired. Again, like same with those goals at the beginning, if you can put some, effort and insights into those reflections every week, it really, really helps you. Like, you get to the end of the internship, and I can't remember what I did in week 1 or week 2. So it is really, really helpful. I then sent my reflections to my mentors, and the mentors then, if there's something that's cropped up in the reflections, they can help support you through that as well. And they just want to make sure that everything's on track. So we had reflections every week. You also have presentations that you do. So you've got a mid-internship presentation and a final internship presentation. Again, if you do your goals at the beginning, and if you do your reflections really well, it makes those presentations so much easier. So you've got a mid-internship presentation. I had mine about week 10. In the middle of it, I was able to go through all of my reflections from those weeks. I was able to look at my goals that I'd set at the beginning of the internship and really reflect on them and check in, am I on track to meet my goals at the end of the internship? Am I happy? Do I feel supported through it? Are my mentors happy with how I'm progressing? Is Ski happy with how I'm progressing? So again, like, you might think it's a bit of a chore, but it is actually really, really worthwhile. And same thing for the final internship presentation as well. I actually found my final internship presentation it was like a little bit mind-blowing. I only did my final internship presentation, I think it was last Monday. and it was really, really good to go back through all of those weeks of reflections, my mid-internship presentation, and reflect on exactly what I'd achieved throughout the internship, which when you're in it working, you know, however many hours per day, you may not think that you're achieving that much. Like, oh, I sent some emails out today, or I, you know, put a run sheet together or something like that. But it was really, really good to be able to go through and reflect on what I'd learned and my goals. So one of the things at the beginning with my internship was that I did actually have a lot of the skills already. And so, yeah, one of the things that I wanted to really focus on was my communication style, and actually growing more confident in my skills as well. Like I felt, I just wasn't sure that I'd be able to graduate from my PhD and be employable. So I think, yeah, having my jobs that I'd done before, such as tutoring and that sort of thing, but really doing this internship as well, I'm like, okay, I feel like this is the final thing that I needed then to give me the confidence and to give me the skills that hey, I am employable. Like I can get a job after this. And yeah, I think that confidence was one of the really, really big things for me as well. So that was really good with those presentations as well. You can answer questions. Your mentors will ask you questions about how you've gone and how you feel about it. So yeah, so that was really good and that was really handy. So I guess, yeah, at the end of it, I had a really good experience. I did really, really enjoy mine. I do feel like I have a lot more skills than I did previously. So yeah, particularly as I'd mentioned, that science communication, I feel like I can work, you know, in a lot of different areas now. I'm able to change up the way that I communicate. But yeah, just that confidence and knowing that once I finish my PhD, like, yeah, I can work in industry as well, which, you know, I'm still not sure where I will end up, but it definitely has opened up the options for me on where I could go. And I guess, yeah, I do feel a lot more ready for the real world once you finish your PhD. And one thing for me, I'm very, very grateful for, I have actually managed to get a job with the Office of the Queensland Chief Scientist as well. So they have decided to keep me on after my internship as well. So yeah, it is a really good feeling that, you know, my internship has led to that, and yeah, that I'm able to continue with them. So yeah, I think that was all from me, Ski.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing and being open and honest with your experience of the internship program. And it's great to hear about the employment opportunity that you've been given by the Office of the Chief Scientist, which is great. Suze, did you have something to say? Sorry.
Yes, Kristen, I just wanted to hear a little bit more about the showcase itself that you, and especially the Teachers' Day that you, the Schools' Day that you put together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my internship was, yeah, so as I mentioned, it was science communication. So basically what I was supposed to do for it was to help deliver a science day for the general public. So it was called the Sustainability and Science Showcase. I don't know if anyone heard about that. And it was down at the Queensland Museum. So that was on the Sunday that I helped deliver that event. And then we also had a student day on the Monday. So basically on the Sunday, we had different exhibitors come down to the museum that work in sustainability areas. So we had different citizen science, you know, organizations come down, someone who does green roofs and green walls and that sort of thing. We had different activities for the kiddies as well. So they got to make a little insect artwork out of leaves and stuff. We had wildlife as well. And we had 2 different forums where we, what's the word? Invited. We invited some speakers to come down for the day as well and go through what, you know, their sustainability journey and different tips and tricks that we can help give the general public. So that was on the Sunday. And so that I helped out with that. I did run sheets for that. I did some marketing for that as well. I helped do a lot of research on which sort of exhibitors were going to come down and which speakers we were going to invite. So that was the Sunday, and then the Monday was a lead on from that. So we had 20 schools come down to the museum. They put in an expression of interest, and so they came down to the museum. I went through all of their expression of interest and decided which schools were going to be coming down. We gave 4 schools some funding. So we had some schools from Townsville, from Gympie, from out near Toowoomba and the Sunshine Coast come down as well, which is super cool. And we also had each of the schools, so we had 20 schools, and each of them have been paired with a mentor for the next 6 months, I think. And I did all of the research into finding a mentor. I spoke to them, I asked them if they would like to be involved in the program. So yeah, lots and lots of emails. But again, like, it was very different, especially with the communication styles. Like, I'd be speaking to mentors and asking if they would be interested in mentoring a school for the 6 months, but then I'd also be speaking to teachers from these schools as well. I'd be speaking to the speakers on the day, be speaking to the exhibitors. So yeah, lots of experience with that. I guess stakeholder experience as well, which is always something that a lot of jobs are looking for too. And I think that was one of the things as well that I wanted to get out of it too, was to be able to liaise with all of these different groups as well. And again, employment opportunities, if people know who you are, then that's, a big positive as well, as, you do get jobs through people that as well. That can really help. So I hope that's answered your question, Susan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. It's really great to hear about your experience, and thank you so much for sharing with everyone here today. And it sounds like you got a lot out of your internship, which is exactly what we aim to do with our researchers. So thank you so much. All right, so I'll just share my screen again, and we'll go back to the workshop. So how can you source and secure an internship? So as you heard from Kristen, she had utilised the main method that we have, which is applying for an advertised HDR internship via our HiQ page. But that's not the only way that this could be sourced. So with our HiQ website, we have the internships that we advertise through our QUT HDR internship model, which is available to all HDR internships, HDR students. And we have the HDR intern model, which is an external partner that we utilise to source internship opportunities for you. And predominantly, most of these are available only to domestic PhD students. There is a rare exception, however, mainly to domestic PhD students. There's also another avenue for external programs such as the Nicholas Bowden program, which is internships in France, the STEM Policy Graduate Internships Program, the Parliamentary Library of Australia Summer Research Program. So Susan has put in the chat where you can see all the available internships that are advertised on HiQ. But the second option, you can self-source an internship, and that's why you're here today. So you can identify a potential internship industry partner from your contacts or network of contacts. Remember how I asked you to notate down potential networks in the beginning of the session? This will help you to identify any suitable options for potentially self-sourcing an internship. We want you to establish a relationship first and not just go in blind. So it's similar to meeting someone on the street, or going on the bus with someone, they sit next to you and they ask to move in. It's just a bit abrupt and not really received as well as what it would be if you already established that relationship with the industry partner. You'll pitch the internship with internship external website and program flyer, and we'll provide this information throughout this session. And then you'll contact Red to help you formalise the internship agreement. So that's when myself or Susan will come in to help with the formalities, so to speak. So I'll cover this in the next few slides just so that you have that information handy. So you've got all the tools and tidbits that you need to self-source. So why self-source an internship? And this is a really good question. Basically, in short, you get to choose your own adventure. You get to create the opportunity, and it shows that you have the initiative to find your own internship. And it's one of the best ways to enter industry. It means that you can ascertain the experience that you really want, which will be more satisfying for you, and industry partners will be impressed by your enthusiasm, motivation, and maturity. What can a self-sourced internship look like though? As I mentioned earlier, all internship experience are bespoke. So as you would have heard from Kristen's experience, she was looking more so with the science communication. And I'm not saying that all internships are like this because they're quite different. So the internship experiences, like I mentioned, are bespoke, standalone projects. However, a self-sourced internship will be one that is finely tailored to you and your skill set, which is secured through a mentor or an industry contact. It could also be a project that you have secured as part of a larger grant or research collaboration. As mentioned, it really varies. So if you've got your academic mentor who's supportive of you undertaking an internship, leverage their contacts and ask them, say that you're really willing to self-source an internship, because they may have someone in mind that you could reach out to potentially look at securing an internship opportunity. So by all means, loop them into the discussion because they may be able to assist. Here, I'll just quickly go through the pipeline as to how it actually runs with self-sourcing an internship. So step one would be to identify a potential industry partner. And I've got you doing this already throughout this workshop. So credit to those that have already got a pen and paper or a notebook or a Word document open where you're illustrating some of the potential industry partners that you could potentially pitch the internship idea to. Step two would be to form a relationship with industry partner. And step three would be to pitch into internship to the industry partner. So these three steps are what we're going to be covering today within this session. But from there, after you've done those three steps, step four would be to participate in the finalizing internship agreement. So that would be in collaboration with myself or my colleague Susan. And as Kristen mentioned in her presentation, is that there's some internship pre-requirements that you must complete before you do start your internship. And they're really valuable because they provide you with the information that you need to be able to be successful and complete the internship within the allocated time frame. From there, you would then commence your internship. And then the next step would be your mid and final internship presentations. So we provide guidelines as to how you can structure these presentations, which assist in understanding what needs to be shared. So we discussed that reflecting on your learning objectives that you identified within the internship pre-requirement stage, and discussing some of the work that you've completed thus far, which then helps your mentor understand if you're on track or if you need a bit more guidance. And it just kind of helps to facilitate a successful internship. From that, you would complete your internship, and then we'd ask you to complete some post-internship requirements, which includes a survey. From there, we provide you with the HDR Internship Completion Certificate, which advises that you've undertaken this internship as part of QUT's program. It's a digital certificate, so we welcome that you share it online on LinkedIn or any platform that you'd like, or just keep that in your own folder or file so that you can share with potential prospective industry partners when you hopefully interview for a position. So step one, identifying a potential industry partner. We want you to recognize your network activity. So please have your pens and paper ready, or like I mentioned, your Word document, and write down as many people as you can that you can think of in 1 minute. So brainstorm your network. Who is your network? And who is the network of your network that might help bring you closer to your goals? Like I mentioned earlier, have a conversation with your supervisor. Tell them you're interested in doing an internship at some stage in your candidature. The more you tell people that you're interested in, the greater the chance they will pass on relevant information to you when they hear about it. Make sure your supervisors are aware of the details of the internship because they may not know about the QUT HDR internship program. Let them know they don't have to be the academic mentor as well, because we will source a subject matter expert who can assist with being the mentor for that experience. Touching back on if your academic might not know about the program, myself and Susan are most happy to meet with them online to discuss the program in more detail, just to kind of appease and give them the information they need to understand what's required for you and what's required from the program and how it all works, just so that everyone's on the same page and you can receive that assistance that you'd like from your supervisor. We also recommend building your personal brand and making sure your LinkedIn profile is alive and well. Building your networks to share, learn, and connect, and attending network events, attending conferences, looking into mentoring opportunities are all valuable in expanding your network. So what can your network actually include? So there's four main pillars on the screen here, which can include your research peers, your industry contacts, recruiters, or your work and internship contacts. From there, there's a wide branch of potential other options, which you might like to look into to identify people that you may not have thought of. So under your research peers, that could include academics within your field, research institutes, QUT alumni, research colleagues. within your industry contacts, that's professional associations, informational interviews that you've already had with other people, event guests, we got the project partners, you have HDR Society contacts and LinkedIn contacts. The list goes on. So you may think that your network is quite small, but that might be because you're not considering any potential option that you have or any people that you've actually communicated with. Now, trying to network is quite a funny thing because there's so many different people that you can think of, and that's why it's really great to write it out on a piece of paper and then associate it into different lists, which I'll cover in my next slide. So if you're sitting there and you're trying to identify some industry partners or options within your existing network and you haven't found any, that might be the case. I'm not saying it definitely is, but what we'd recommend is building your network by attending the events, conferences, and chatting to your supervisor about their network. We host networking events, which are on our HiQ website, which you can have a look at and register to attend, because it's always great to network as much as you can if you've got the time freedom to do so. I know having the time freedom is quite hard when you're doing your thesis, but allowing some time, dedicating some time to networking is really crucial to assist with that industry engagement collaboration. In the other spectrum, if you have identified industry partner options in your existing network, we recommend categorizing your options into A, B, and C. So do some preliminary research on each of your industry partner options to understand the challenges of the industry and sector, and begin contacting industry partners from there. So the A, B, and C category, so A would be the industry partner that you'd love to work with, it's a must, it has to happen. B would be, you know, I'd like to work with them, but it's not absolutely necessary. I prefer to work with option A. However, this is a backup in case it doesn't happen. And category C would be, I'd love to, you know, chat with them. They might be an option, but neither here nor there. So it just helps you to outline so that if you've got your option C, we'd recommend starting with those contacts, because if you're not successful, it's not such a bummer. And they give you the experience to then reach out to options B and C, B and A, to hopefully see the outcome that you actually do want. If you need help networking, we have a tool called Employability, which provides modules which you can complete to understand how you can actually go about this. So there's different modules through the Employability Blackboard community, which includes connections, opening your doors, creating and maintaining a powerful first impression, strengthening your connections, and another module called So Tell Me About Yourself. So these modules vary in duration, with the shortest being 30 minutes and the longest being 60 minutes. However, this can take as long as you need. This is completely self-driven and this is up to you. Within GRED ourselves, we offer networking workshops too. So please take a look at our HiQ website for any training opportunities that we have, because we'd love to have you along to, you know, enhance your skill set to be able to assist you in this process. Step 2 is to form a relationship with an industry partner. So we recommend developing an elevator pitch, which is a short, persuasive speech to spark interest in who you are and what you do. So it's not a, you know, extensive talk about who you are and your research that you've done, and, you know, it goes on and on and on. It's quite short and succinct, so it needs to grab their attention. And we recommend opening your elevator speech with something captivating and relatable. For instance, identifying a common industry pain point they'll be familiar with is always a good start, because they can relate to you and will be willing to hear more about what you do. That comes into the next part of sparking the curiosity. Tell them you found a solution to that very problem. They'll be interested to want to know more and want to know how you can actually fix that problem that you've identified in such a short amount of time. We recommend summarizing what you do, then say how you do it and what's the outcome. Also, be ready for more questions. A good elevator pitch is an invitation to a conversation, but not an ad slogan. From here, if the elevator pitch goes well, you can request an informational interview with the person you're speaking with to then go into more detail and talk more about yourself. Just as a note, we will be doing an exercise later down in the session about delivering an elevator pitch. So please think of one if you don't already have one ready. They're pretty short and painless, but just so that you're aware. An informational interview is an informal question and answer meeting between a person seeking more information about a particular job, career, organisation or industry, and a person already established in that field of work. What we recommend in the informational interview is not to ask for an internship here. What we do recommend is asking questions that will help you pitch an internship to the organisation later on. So like I've mentioned in the early stages of this workshop, is we're all about building relationships and kind of getting that, fostering that culture where you can actually ask that question later on and, they understand who you are, what you have to offer, so that when you do ask about potentially whether or not an internship opportunity is available, they already know who you are and what you could bring to the table, as opposed to being that person on the bus, just meeting someone and asking to move in with them. So it's really good to foster that relationship now in this elevator pitch and through the informational interview, so that it helps you land a yes when you do eventually ask whether or not they'd be willing to self-source an internship. There's some links on the slide here, which I believe that Susan's put in the chat just now, which will assist in understanding what an informational interview is and how you can go about delivering this informational interview. We will also circulate this in presentation after this workshop, so that you can have access to all these links throughout. So the HDR informational interviewing. So the key tips are to ask, listen, and learn. We want you to keep focused on their journey, not yours. So the secret to becoming career competitive is to identify alumni, others who have achieved your dream role. So think about people that are doing things that you really aspire to do, and just use them to help you become career competitive. So use your school, university, or industry contacts to identify recent new arrivals into roles, or people who have just navigated their way into a career, and remember how much they are needed. You can contact them via LinkedIn with your purpose. So it's really important to make your purpose known, as opposed to just going in and contacting them for no real, I guess, reason, because these people are busy people. If you don't clearly go in with your purpose outlined, they likely won't engage. So limit your message to 2 lines and introduce yourself and why you're interested to speak with them. Ask for a 15 to 20-minute Zoom phone catch up in the first instance, to be respectful of their time. And that just goes hand in hand with what I've mentioned just before, is that they're really busy people, and we don't want to assume that they have all the time in the world to meet with basically random strangers from the internet. We want you to focus your attention on listening rather than speaking. So establish the topics of conversation, ensure the focus is on their experience and not yours. We want you to be curious and ask what worked best for them, what they might do differently during candidature or job search. And lastly, very, very important, is be gracious. Assess their interest in further mentoring. So don't underestimate their value, and be grateful for their time and expertise, because they've taken time out of their busy day and their busy schedule to meet with you. And even though you're completely busy with your PhD and your thesis and going through all that, but these people, just really be respectful and thank them graciously. If you did have good rapport, ask if they'd be interested in a longer catch up, possibly over coffee. This is less formal and easier to kind of gauge where they're at and have a bit more of a casual conversation. If this goes well, ask if they would consider being your employability mentor. So preparing for your interview and internship, we have a lot of resources available online, including Big Interview, which is the link on the screen right now, where you can practice your interview with some questions, and you can get graded based on your the way that you've conducted yourself, your posture, the way that you've communicated, and it'll give you that real feedback. It won't be able to grade the content that you've shared, but rather the way that you've spoken and your posture and the eye contact, and I'll give you the actual feedback from that. We also have a lot of modules through international students' website on ASIN, which includes preparing for your will experience, succeeding in your will activity, understanding the Australian workplace cultures, and undertaking will in an online environment. So this gives you some real experience and some guidance as to what to expect, and can assist in preparing you for your internship. Another tool is the through ASIN as well, which is understanding workplace cultures. So as I'm sure most of you can appreciate, if you've undertaken a professional experience and you've got that behind your belt already, workplace cultures are quite different and will be different to the current culture within your research. So embarking on a work integrated learning activity or studying in Australia presents many exciting opportunities, especially it's quite different. So any international students that may be chiming in today to watch this workshop may not truly understand how the workforce is shaped within Australia. It might be different to your home country. So it's really valuable to access these tools to get that that insight early on so you can understand what to expect. This module will help to explain the factors that impact workplace culture. It will describe the role and impact of multiculturalism and diversity in the workplace, and it will describe the types of interactions common to Australian workplace, and it will compare the workplace culture in Australia to that of other countries, and it will discuss models of organisational culture. So again, this material on ASIN is really important, and we would recommend utilising this prior to undertaking an internship. So step 3 is the pitching an internship to the potential industry partner. So firstly, you want to thank the person that you're speaking with. Thank them for donating their time for the informational interview, like we spoke about before, and what stood out to you from the interview. It's always good to take some notes so you can reflect back to show that the person that you're speaking with, that you actually were listening to what they were sharing, because it makes them, it kind of gets that rapport and it builds that connection with that person that you were actually meeting with. From there, if you get the good vibes and you sense that the rapport is already there, you can pitch an internship with the QUT HDR Internship website and a program flyer, and we recommend being familiar with the program that you're proposing. So we'll share the program flyer as well as the website that we can share with our prospective industry partners. After this session, I'll provide you with those links, so don't worry. Next is evidence. So briefly demonstrate the value that you would add to their organisation through an internship. So through the elevator pitch and the informational interview, you've listened to this person and you've tried to gauge what issues that they're facing. So what you should have done is analyse ways that you can solve their issue, and this is where you can provide some evidence to back up your claims. This will help in ascertaining that internship opportunity with them. Next, provide. So we want you to provide an industry CV and not an academic one. So you might not actually understand that an industry CV is quite different to an academic one. An industry CV doesn't necessarily have all your research publications and the likes, because for industry, that might not make too much sense. So it's really important to have that kind of the two separate CVs and having an industry CV on the ready to provide when requested by the industry partner. Lastly, ask them to email hdr.intern@qut.edu.au, which is an email that myself and my colleague Susan look after, to chat further about the internship program. We're always happy to chat further with prospective industry partners to help get that internship over the line for you. So the sooner that we're alerted to what your plans are, the sooner we can provide you with the tools and assistance to get you across the line and to engage with the industry partner to hopefully see that this internship actually does come to fruition. It's really important to know what you have that's relevant. So your relevant skills. So as Kristen was talking about her internship, she is working in the science field, so she already had that kind of communication skills behind her to be able to engage with that science communication skill set required for the internship experience. So go through your own skills and how it relates to the industry partner that you're meeting with, and notate these down. So if it's needed to evidence what you have to be able to assist with the internship or the suggested problem that the organisation is facing, you have that right there in front of you that you can say, well, I've got these skills and this is how I can actually help. Next is the education. So look back at your unit outline. So this can be from your undergraduate studies or other postgraduate studies that you've completed, and add that to your repertoire. Look at what you've accomplished and what you've done, because that by no means is, that's important. It's not irrelevant. It's definitely valuable to include within pitching yourself to the organisation or the industry partner. Again, relevant employment experience. So if you've already engaged with industry in the past or any previous work within academia, you could leverage that to assist with ascertaining this internship experience. So include that within your CV, your industry CV, to help show why you're a great fit for this internship idea, because it will prove beneficial in the long run. Also, your research topic, obviously, because you're undertaking your thesis, it's really important to understand what's relevant in terms of that. So that's why we have our 3MT competition, because it's a short competition which helps you in a very small window outline your research and its impact within a 3-minute window. So just a little plug, if you wanted to compete in the 3MT next year, registrations will open in February of 2023. Lastly, prepare for the interview by making a short list of examples. You can also make these examples and go to the website that I just mentioned before, the Big Interview, and practice these examples with someone actually being able to grade your structure and the way that you're speaking and your tone. Because then you can get that feedback and then you can shape your answers to fit based on watching yourself back, because it will record you and you can watch back to see how you've performed. So if you're not sure of your strengths, there's the VIA Character Strengths Survey, which allows you to get to know your greatest strengths. So why would it be important to undertake this survey? And that's because it's free. The scientific survey of character strengths in the world, it's the only free scientific survey of characteristic strengths in the world. It's a simple 15-minute character test, and it discovers your greatest strengths. So the research shows that knowing and using your character strengths can help you increase happiness and well-being. We're all about, those positive vibes and those happy endorphins. So absolutely, big tick. It helps you find meaning and purpose. It boosts your relationships. It manages stress and health and accomplishes your goals. So if you've got a spare 15 minutes, we recommend undertaking this survey just to help you understand what your greatest strengths are. You may not be aware of them, so it's really, really a good tool. So from here, we'll set a couple of breakout, or we may set up a couple of breakout rooms just to help you, work on an elevator pitch with the peers in your group. And I'll pause the recording now just so. All right, so I think that everyone's back or slowly coming back.
All back.
Okay, cool. I hope that you guys had a great experience practicing your elevator pitch and working on some questions you could ask in an informational interview. As I mentioned, myself and Susan will share our quick elevator pitch, and then I'll open the floor for you guys to share yours if you'd like. So I'll go first. Hi, my name is Simon Kolonowski, and I'm a HDR Partnership Officer at QUT. I understand that projects can get delayed and finding suitable resources can be quite challenging. But what if I told you that I could help? Working at QUT, I can source a knowledgeable, higher degree research student to undertake a specialized project to not only learn invaluable skills, but to get this project wrapped up in a matter of months. Here at QUT, we have subject matter experts, including that of our academics, who are on standby waiting to assist. I would love to be able to chat with you further to see how I could help. Now over to you, Suze.
Thanks, Ski. And I think it's interesting to note that Ski and we do the same role, but you'll see that in our elevator pitches, we've taken very different approaches. So Ski has taken more of an industry-focused approach, and I've taken more of a student-facing approach. So here we go. Hi, my name is Susan Schlenker, and I work in the Graduate Research Education and Development team at QUT. I consider myself a broker of student opportunities as I help HDRs navigate ways to engage with industry through internships, immersion placements, and networking opportunities. Prior to this role, I worked in international education at QUT for 4 years, helping undergraduate students engage with international opportunities like exchange, short-term programs, and international internships. But what I love most about my role is being able to help students to diversify their future career options and to broaden their horizon of opportunities.
Thanks so much, Suze. So I may open the floor. If anyone would like to share their elevator pitch, please turn your video on and put your mic on. Erica, you'd like to share?
I was just cheering for Susan. It was a really good one. I feel I need to write down my pitch before I can actually say it.
That's completely okay.
Yours was really good though, Erica. No pressure.
Would anyone like to share? If not, that's completely okay. It's a safe space here and we value everyone's input, but if not, that's okay. All right, we might.
Oh, you muted yourself, Ski.
Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Thank you for participating in that breakout room. It's a really invaluable tool to have an elevator pitch on the ready, just in case you need it to engage with prospective industry partners. So credit to you for working on that. So we have information on our HiQ website, which provides a brief overview on how you can begin the journey of choosing your own adventure. This webpage, which Susan will pop in the chat, provides information on the requirements to self-source your own internship. And these requirements are not onerous by any means, being that you must have completed the HDR Industry Engagement Registration, which I'll chat about in the next slide. And second, you must have attended the self-sourcing and HDR internship training session, which you're doing today. So you're almost there. So the Industry Engagement Registration form is completed online, and you're able to complete a profile that you can update at any point. What you can do with this registration form is you can also trigger an email to start the conversation with your supervisor. This is completely up to you. You don't need this to do that if you don't want it to. However, it kind of makes that that discussion a bit more easy, because I'll receive that email and be like, hey, what's this about? And then you can openly have that chat with them to say, these are your intentions. Another thing is that some internships are not advertised through our HiQ website. So this allows us to contact you directly if you're a good fit for an unadvertised internship. And what I mean by they're not advertised is that an industry partner might come to us asking for a HDR intern and need them to fill the position in a week or so. We don't simply have the time to advertise it, but rather we source the intern based on a pool of these industry engagement program registration forms and go from there. So it puts you in good stead to, land an internship through our program. One thing to note with the registration form is just to make sure that you've selected internship. That's a really important step. How you can keep up with GRED and opportunities available to you, including workshops, is to review the weekly newsletters that we send out. So the one on the left here, the orange looking one, is the one that myself and Susan will send out to all current HDR students as well as supervisors to advise of what the HDR internship program is and any available internship opportunities that we have currently available. It also advertises any other engagement opportunities such as the 3MT or the VYT competition. However, that's unfortunately closed on Sunday for registrations. But any other opportunities that come about that don't fall under the internship banner will also be included within this correspondence. So that's sent on every Tuesday, so around the 10 a.m. mark, so keep an eye out for that. And the HDR Matters will showcase any workshops that we have available within the GRED team, and that's sent every Monday. So if you want to stay on top of any of the workshops that we have available, definitely read the HDR Matters and register for any and all if you'd like to. We have some upcoming sessions. So on the 22nd of July, which is just around the orientation week, is our HDR Industry Engagement Workshop, which is where we go through all of the industry engagement opportunities that we have. So that's what myself and Susan facilitate. And on the 3rd of August, we have our HDR Internships workshop. So that's a bit different to the workshop that you're attending today. So if you'd like to, please come along. And again, if you want to rehash this content that we've gone through today, we have another session on the 21st of September, which covers the exact same content. And if you can't make the HDR Internships workshop on the 3rd of August, we have another one running on the 19th of October. So like I mentioned earlier, we'll send this presentation out to you after the workshop's completed, so you can have a look at these links and register to any that you would like to. Lastly, I just ask that you please provide some feedback on what you thought of this session. The survey feedback is anonymous, and it helps us to shape the session to be better for future students to look at. So we're all about making this content as useful as possible. So if there's something that needs to be changed or something that didn't quite fit the bill, please let us know. We would love to be able to have a workshop that's really valuable for our students to attend. So any feedback is really valued. But if you thoroughly enjoyed today's session and got the most out of it, that's also fine. We do appreciate constructive criticism. So you can either utilize the link that Susan's put in the chat just now, or if you'd like to, you can scan the QR code on the screen. Just some few things before I wrap up and ask you if there's any questions. We have our graduate research student showcase, which has our 3-minute thesis or 3MT and visualize your thesis, known as VYT QUT grand finalists, where you can watch and learn their presentations. So the 3MT is where these HDR students will talk about their research topic and its impact within the short 3-minute window, like I mentioned earlier. Whereas the Visualize Your Thesis is a competition where people have short digital animated shorts, which are 1 minute in duration, and it needs to talk about their research and its impact in that time frame. This showcase is a public event and it's online and live streamed on YouTube. So we'll have external and internal industry partners, and they're involved throughout the competition to increase the exposure, network and collaboration that you might be able to engage with. Not only this, but there's external exposure for finalists through QUT's website, social media channels, and other avenues. So if the 3MT or the VYT is something of interest, unfortunately, the registrations have closed for this year, but please keep an eye out for next year. Like I mentioned, the registrations will open again in February of 2023, and we'd love to see you compete. We have all the tools available to see you succeed. The registration link, I believe that Susan's put in the chat, so feel free to open that and register through Eventbrite, and we'd love to see you there. Within GRED, we also have an eGrad school, which we have a lot of modules that are available and they're tailored to research experience. They're fully online and flexible and can be completed at your own time within 5 weeks. They're flexible with 2 to 5 hours engagement per week. So Susan's put in the chat just now where you can look through UniHub, which has all of our offerings that are currently available for you to book. So I definitely recommend having a look at what's available and registering for any module that you think would be beneficial to you. Definitely engage with the materials and the resources that QUT has to help you succeed within your thesis. And lastly, there's a Business and Law Careers Week coming up from the 1st to the 4th of August. So Susan will put in the chat now the registration link to attend to see myself and Susan to talk about our industry engagement activities. So our session will be 1 to 2 p.m. I believe it's the 1st of August, if I'm not mistaken, Susan.
Yeah, that's right.
1st of August from 1 to 2 p.m. And we'd love to see you there. As mentioned, we're the GRED HDR partnership officers, and we're always happy to help. So we are a friendly bunch, so please, no question should be off the table. If you ever want to reach out to ask anything about the HDR internships program or anything industry engagement related, please let us know. We'd love to help you. We'd love to see you expand your horizons and broaden what your career aspirations will or might look like post-candidature. And with that being said, I'll open the floor to any questions from any of you guys. So please feel free to unmute, turn your video on, or ask questions in the chat, and we'll go from there. I'm just going through the chat now, making sure that that's all good. Oh, thank you for putting a student ID in. A question from Erica: how is the internship project? Erica, sorry, what do you mean by that? How is the internship project format? It can vary. So like I mentioned earlier in the session, that the projects are very bespoke and very different. So how the internship project is formed will drastically vary based on yourself, the industry partner, and the academic mentor that's assigned to the internship. So it's a discussion between the 3 parties to work on a suitable list of duties and responsibilities for yourself as the HDR. And it needs to be agreed upon from not only the academic mentor, but yourself, the industry partner, and myself or Susan as the QUT representative. So as long as that's agreed upon in regards to the format of the duties and responsibilities, then that's completely okay. You're very welcome. Did anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask? I can see there were some questions in the chat which Susan has answered, which is great. Thank you, Susan. If there's no further questions, I might wrap up the session.
Yeah, I was just going to say, did anyone have any questions for Kristen? Well, we have Kristen here as well. If you'd like
Sorry,
to
Kristen.
know, if you'd like to ask anything about the experience or what it's like being a HDR intern.
There are a couple more come through.
Miku, how long is the max duration for the internship? 6 months? That is correct. So the maximum time for an internship that we would usually go with is 6 months, just so that it doesn't have any implications on your candidature long term. So yeah, 3 to 6 months is the duration. And Jeffrey, could you do the internship in part-time? Yes, you absolutely can.
I think one of the other questions, Ski, that I got a message about was I think the content of the internship, like some people might think that it has to be a research project for the internship, when I guess like mine definitely wasn't a research project. So I guess, can you discuss a little bit about, you know, I guess leading on from Erica's question before about the format, yeah, if it's not a research project, what other things have you seen that it could be?
So this is why we mentioned that the internship program is quite bespoke, because it can be a large range of things, provided that it's approved by the academic mentor, the industry partner, yourself, and myself or Susan. So it's really difficult to actually pinpoint what it could be, because it could be a lot of things. We've had instances where students have undertaken an internship where they've been working with AI to identify certain things with artwork, to recognize certain bias and identify that in terms of the artwork itself. We've had students, we've had a student who's trained a robot to detect from someone's speech if they've got some heart issues. We've had another HDR who's undertaken a similar project to you, Kristen, where she's worked on a kid's book to help with the science communications. That's Karen. It's really bespoke. It's quite different, so it's hard to say for certain. If you have a potential project that you're thinking of, Erica or anyone else, please let us know, because we're happy to guide you and give you that information, or potentially source an academic mentor to help that discussion early on. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it did. I think, yeah, just a couple of examples, I guess, if people aren't sure what other people have done before.
Yeah.
And I think probably our advice is, you know, don't be scared if something is in and out of scope. That's what we're here for. And it really is determined by the industry partner needs as well. So mostly it will come from them, where they say, oh, you know, we've been thinking about doing this, and then we work with you and them and your academic mentor to say whether that's feasible within the time frame of the internship that they're suggesting. So we're all here to make sure that the project is suitable and feasible. But yes, it is such wide-ranging and diverse topics. We've got a student at the moment who is working on looking at gloves for space suits for astronauts. So fun fact, which I didn't know before this internship, is that space gloves only give astronauts 10% of a normal hand mobility. And so he's looking at materials and sewing techniques and fabrics and adhesives that will actually increase the mobility of an astronaut's gloves, so that they can do things in space. So it's very wide ranging. You know, we had students last year who were working with not-for-profit groups, and they were doing social media audits as well, of you know, looking at their communication strategy, seeing how they can engage with wider stakeholders. We've had students do lots of lab work. We had a student who was working in biomed, and her research topic was about antibacterial coatings on implants, and the industry partner was in the food industry, and so they were looking at incorporating these antibacterial coatings into the flooring. We've had students do 3D printing of patient scans so that the surgeon can have a realistic feel of how to perform an operation, a delicate operation on a patient. Yeah, these are just a few off the top of our heads, but they're very wide reaching. So I think the best place is just to start with, what Ski has said about forming a relationship with prospective industry partners, getting to know what their challenges are, what their hopes are, what their aspirations are, and somewhere from in that, the two of you will be able to identify a project, and then you can come to us and we'll work with you and your academic mentor to be able to formalize it into an internship project for you.
Thanks, Sis. So Miku has a question concerning QT scholars wanting to do industry engagement. Is the stipend for the internship mutually exclusive to our scholarship stipend, since we will be effectively doing a full-time internship rather than working on a HDR? If we're receiving our RTP scholarships, does that get suspended while we're doing the paid internship, or are we still both paid at the same time? Not sure about the rules. So great question. Whilst you're undertaking an internship, you're actually taking out of your thesis unit, so the normal scholarship that you receive is paused. And that's why we request funding from the industry partner, so that you can still receive a normal living wage, so to speak, so that you can fund your normal routine expenses. So you're taken out of your thesis unit and put into the IFN 004, which is known as a HDR Internship unit. And that's so that we can actually push back your milestones by the duration of the internship once you've completed it. So all in all, our program is designed to help you. And we would never expect you to undertake an internship that's not funded by an industry partner, because we understand the importance of being able to fund your normal routine expenses to be able to undertake these industry engagement opportunities. So that's why we do that. So I hope that helps. Yeah, sorry, did anyone have any questions for Kristen? If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask offline, feel free to email us at hdr.intern@qut.edu.au, and that includes any questions that you have for Kristen. How long did Kristen do the internship for?
So mine was a 20-week internship, which I think is 5 months, Ski, something like that. So yeah, 20 weeks, or was it 100 days? I think.
I believe that it was 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. Now you're testing my memory. I'm pretty sure it was a 6-month internship.
There you go. That's terrible. I couldn't even remember. I knew
It's
which
okay.
week I was in.
Yeah, you were working on the week structure, which is completely fine. All right, I might just ask one more time, if you guys have any questions for either myself or Susan or for Kristen, please feel free to ask. It's a safe space, or if you'd prefer to ask a question offline, that's also okay as well. We can also forward any questions that you have for Kristen by email if need be. So please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to help. All right. Well, I might just wrap up now and say thank you so much for attending today. And I hope you got so much out of the session. I hope that you gained some valuable tools and tips to be able to self-source an internship. And, establish some of the networks that you already have, which you probably didn't realize whilst undertaking these exercises throughout the workshop. So lovely to see you all, and I hope to see you again in future workshops. But for now, I hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll share these PowerPoint slides with you either this afternoon or early tomorrow. But have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Kristen, for your valuable experience. That's really appreciated. Thank you.
No problems. See you guys.
See you.
Bye.
Susan, do you want to stop recording, please?